Namo Shakyamuni Buddha. So today we continue to discuss the wise mindfulness. Let me share you the screen and the four foundations of mindfulness, including the mindfulness of the body, mindfulness of the feeling, mindfulness of the mind, mindfulness of the mental objects, phenomena, including the seven enlightenment factors, as well as the five hindrances that we discussed last time, including the sense desire, the hatred, the restlessness, the doubts, the sloth, and torpors. So they belong to mental object phenomena. Of course, we may be mindful of the four noble truths that are the foundation of Buddhism, and we need to be mindful of our system base from the eyes, the nose, the tongue, the body, the mind, and the ear. So these are the wise mindfulness. So let us go back to the wise concentrations. We have several objects of meditations that we have discussed in length, including concentration on our breath, on loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joys, equanimity. So they are the object of meditations to help our mind to settle down. And of course, we need to overcome the five hindrances that we just discussed recently: the sensual desire, ill will, restlessness, sloth, and torpors, skeptical doubt. And with that hindrances been overcome, we can attain some sort of jhana, that is the meditative state of mind. So including the first, second, third, and fourth. In Buddhist view, these are the four jhanas. That is the state of mind or consciousness. So if someone attains the first jhana, their mind will be clear, and this a degree of clarity. That means they are able to examine and detect themselves from worldly desire. So the second jhana, they will experience the happiness or the joys because the mind is calm. The third jhana, they will experience the joy and the equanimities that may have the raptures since they enjoy that joy, fullness within their mind. And the four jhanas is include equanimities, clear, calm, peaceful. This is a state of pure happiness. So these are the four stages of jhana. So again, they can attend to the first jhana, the initial application, they could feel the rapture and happiness, but that type of rapture and happiness would not be sustained until they attain the second jhana, and the third jhana, they attain that kind of peace and happiness. And the last one, the fourth jhana, they attain that kind of equanimity in the mind. And from that time on, they can attain the insight and the wisdom, and they may move further to the formless jhanas, and the sphere of infinity space, the sphere of infinity consciousness, nothingness, and neither perception nor non-perception. So again, these are the 8 stages of meditative state of mind that everyone can attain, and from that stage they can obtain the supreme understanding of the Four Noble Truths. They can overcome the sufferings. So that's all for our discussion of the Four Noble Truths that we had discussed so many months. So let me go over briefly about the Four Noble Truths one more time, so that we can get the idea of the whole spectrum of the foundation of Buddhist teachings that based upon the Four Noble Truths. That was spoken by the Buddha after his enlightenment to his first 5 disciples. So the Four Noble Truths includes suffering, the truth of suffering, the cause of suffering, the cessation of suffering, the path to cessation of suffering. So here, the Buddha mentioned that the suffering is including the physical and mental suffering. The physical, that means is related to our body. We were born, we take in order, we have some kind of illnesses, and one day we have to go. That is the physical sufferings, and the mental sufferings includes stress, anxiety, depressions, jealousy, and so forth. So for normal people, when we sick physically, we would visit the doctor to get help. But up to 100-year-old, no doctor can help us to sustain our body further. So that's why eventually we have to go. But mentally, whether we young or old, male or female, we can overcome our mental sufferings, like stress, anxiety, depression, and so forth. So that's why the second one, the Buddha has pointed out, the cause of suffering includes the hatred, the cravings, and ignorance. So they are the 3 main poisons that cause us to have all sort of sufferings. For example, because of our desire, our expectation of things, that's why we stress out. Like at the end of the year, we expect to get the rise in salary, but what happened if we cannot get it? So we'll be frustrated, we will be disappointed, and that's where suffering comes from. So The Buddha say that yes, in one side we have the sufferings, and on the other side is happiness. As long as we know how to deal with them properly, we can transform the suffering into happiness. That's the third one. And the last one, the path to cessation of suffering. That's where the Buddha provides the path, the GPS, the map for us to overcome those sufferings. So again, the Buddha served as a doctor. When a patient go to see a doctor will point out the patient's sufferings, and the doctor will point out the cause of suffering. For example, if the patient has stomach, the doctor point out the reason why the person has stomach because of eating wrong food or spoiled food. And so the doctor promised, yes, I can help you to overcome these stomach problems, that decision of suffering. But if he stopped there, the patient would not pay for him any damage. So he go further. Here is my prescription. You go to CVS to buy medicine for you to take, so that you would not have any stomach problems. So that is the last one, the path to stop the suffering. Here the Buddha provide what we call the Noble Eightfold Paths, including the three trainings, the wisdom, the ethical conduct, the mental discipline. So in the wisdom part, it has the right understanding, right thought, right intention. The ethical conduct, including right speech, right action, right livelihood. The mental discipline includes right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. Let us review one more times that we have the charge there. And here in the wise view or right understanding, we have to have the right understanding about the Four Noble Truths. We have to have the right understanding about the karmas, the cause and effect. Whichever thing we do, we have to pay attention on them because they will affect back to us. Whichever thing we throw out there, will bounce back to us. If we help others, we gain the good karma that other people would care and support us later on. And vice versa, if we harm them, eventually they will find some way to harm us. So we have to have the right understanding and right views of the three characteristics. The anicca does mean nothing lasts forever. Dukkha does mean the suffering, the suffer stories, something that difficult to handle. Natha, there's no real self, no permanent self. Things come because of conditions, and things depart because of condition too. So these are the right views of what understanding of life that we should have. So as much as we have this type of wise view or right views, we move on to have wise intention, because we don't want to be killed, we don't want to be harmed. So that's why we should develop loving kindness, goodwill, friendliness, compassion, harmlessness, so that we could help other people. We could bring the peacefulness and happiness to others and to ourselves. Of course, including the renunciation to let go of all kind of bad thoughts. We have to be patient, have to be generous, so that we can transform our lives, our craving. When we develop loving kindness, goodwill, friendliness, that help us to overcome our ill will, hatred. When we develop the compassion, harmlessness, we could overcome the cruelty. So it would help us to create a peaceful and happy life, because all beings want to be happy. All beings fear of violence. Um, so that's why, with that type of understanding, with that kind of right attention, we could bring the happiness and peacefulness ourselves and others. So that's related to the wisdom, that related to our mentality, having the right views and the right intention. That's like we have the GPS or the map to follow. It's like the drivers to drive the car. So that's why having that type of wisdom is so important. With that type of wisdom, we can transform our speech so that we can restrain ourselves from untruthfulness, speech, the gossip, the slander, the high speech, the angry, the abusive speech, the idle chatter. So with that kind of understanding, with that type of wise intention, we can transform ourselves to a better person orally. So if we speak from the truth, if we speak from the compassion, if we speak from the loving kindness, we would not have these kind of problems. So that's why whenever we want to talk to someone else, we should have intention of kindness, intention of compassion. So there's no way for us to say something that could be harmful or hurt other people. That's what we call wise speech. So from having right speech, we would have what we call wise action, that we would restrain ourselves from killing, from stealing, that we don't need to take things that don't belong to us, from harmful sexual acts, from telling lies, from taking intoxicant. That's what we discussed before. So it affects to how we do things, and above, this affect to how we say things, how we communicate with other people. So that's what we call wise action and wise speech. And the next one, because we have loving kindness and compassion toward other people, our sentient beings, we would restrain ourselves from having harmful occupation that's related to wise livelihood. Because like lay people, you have to work to survive, to raise the families, to support the families, to raise the children. So, but there's all kind of occupations that we can have, except the occupation that may be harmful to other people or sentient beings, like being hunter, to hunt out the animals, or the butcher, to kill animals, or selling drugs, illegal drugs, weapons, poison, and so forth. So we need to stay away from those type of harmful occupations that harm others. Again, we studied before. We stay away from selling arms, weapons, human trafficking, trade in poison, with disease, trickeries, and so forth. So whichever occupation we have, we should abide to this principle, because of course the Buddha would not watch over our shoulders except our own karma. So let's say if we trade arms or trade weapons illegally, definitely sooner or later we get into troubles that other people may turn against us with their weapons. Or if we engage in human trafficking, it's harmful for others, and eventually we end up in jail, or we engage in the business of illegal drugs. Eventually we have to pay for the price in the jail and so forth. So those are the livelihoods that we need to stay away from. So that's what we call wise livelihood. And the next one, wise effort. We need to keep the unwholesome deed from arising. We need to eliminate that unwholesome deed or karmas. In the meantime, we need to develop wholesome karma, wholesome deeds, and so forth. And the next one, that's what we talked recently, the wise mindfulness. We have the mind training, because without mind training, it's not easy for us to remain calm, to have good intention, to have right understanding about life, if we have scattered minds. So that's why if we don't have that type of mind training, there's no way for us to remain calm, to have loving kindness and compassion. For example, let's say if we are driving around the town, we see some homeless people, and yes, we may have compassion thought that we want to share water bottles or a banana and so forth that we have in the car to that homeless person. What happened if our friends, our family members who are sitting in the car and say that, well, why do you need to give those food to those people? So that means they try to convince us not to share with them. But if our mind isolated, if we could not be formed with our determination to help that person, we would give up easily. But if we have strong mind, if we have strong determinations with love and kindness, definitely we would not pay attention on other people comment about why we need to help homeless people. So that's why training the mind to be formed, to be concentrated, to be focused is so important in Buddhist practice. That's why we start to be mindful with our body, our feeling, our state of mind, the mental object of phenomena, the other practice of mindfulness too. And again, like we discussed before, with the wise concentration, we have the object of meditation, like the breath, loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, equanimities, and so forth. with that kind of mind training, we can develop that kind of love, that kind of compassion, and so forth. Like we discussed before, that without anchoring our mind down, it's easy for us to be swayed. It's easy for us to have scattered mind. And so that's why we may start with the concentration on the breath. Like we discussed before, the breath is the source of our life. So it could help us to calm our mind by observing the inhalation and exhalation naturally without pushing the air out or pulling the air. So with that kind of training, we eventually let our mind be calm, to be peaceful, to settle down. So again, these are the mark or the GPS that the Buddha provides so that we can follow to practice. So this is the chart you can see here, the Eightfold Paths. We have wise concentration in the mind training, wise mindfulness or effort in the mind training. And with that kind of mind training, we can sharpen our wisdom to develop the wise view, wise understanding of life, wise intention. With that kind of mind, we can control our speech, control our action, as well as our livelihood. So these are these mark or the GPS that every Buddhist need to follow. And that's the basic teaching of the Buddhas. That's based upon the Four Noble Truths that the Buddha provide or proclaims after his enlightenment to the 5 disciples. Let me go back here. So we remember that we have learned that the Buddha attained enlightenment on the Bodhi trees, and after that there was a Brahmin king, a Brahmin celestial king, flew down to request the Buddha turn the Dhamma wheel. That's meant to give the first teaching. And at first he contemplated who can accept or understand his teaching. So he contemplated that his 2 teachers had passed away. Ashita, the one that provided the prediction that the prince later on would become Buddha. So that Ashita has passed away too. So the only one that still alive and could understand his teaching are the first 5 companions who went to practice a self-torture with him for 6 years in the forest. But later on, the prince gave up that practice, self-torture practice, to accept the food offerings from a young girl. So that 5 companions left him because they thought that he gave up his practice. But after that, he went back to see them and taught them the first teaching that we call Dhamma Kaikapavatara Sutta, that contain the Four Noble Truths that indicate the foundation of the Buddha teaching. So these are the image that illustrate how Buddha taught these 4 or 5 monks. And later on, Kadinya becomes the first bhikkhu, that means monk. So that means among that 5 people, Kadinya was the one who understood teaching during the first sermon about the 4 Noble Truths. All his doubt about the Dhamma was clear, and he soon requests to be ordained. As means his hands be shaved. So he became the first Buddhist monk. One thing I want to explain is that you may wonder why Buddhist monks don't shave the hair. So one thing is that yes, we let go of the secular life, a mundane life. So when we done our robes, we share our hair. It indicates that we would not involve anything in the mundane world or secular life anymore. So that's one of the reasons. Another reason is that when we still have hair, we make spend times to care for the hair. It takes time, and of course, some of us may pay money to have haircut. So to shave the hair, we would not need to pay attention on the hair anymore. And the other metaphor we can explain is that the hair represents the numerous mental afflictions. That's why in the Mahayana traditions, we have the verses that remind ourselves when we cut our hair, we cut all the mental afflictions. That's what it's about. And here the image that the Buddha keep teaching from then on, the Buddha convert the other 4 monks, and they were ordained officially directly. So they all attained enlightenment. So they became the first group of arhat in the world. These are the image. This is the place where the Buddha first turned the Dhamma wheel, or gave the teaching to that 5 monks. And this is the place that located in Varanasi. Later on, during the Ashoka King periods in 249 BC, he established, built this great stupa in Sanat to indicate where the Buddha first gave the teaching to these 5 monks. And later on, the Buddha and his first 5 monks, bhikkhu, spent the first rainy season or raining retreat at the deer park. So at that place, again, the Buddha talked about the Anattalakkhana Sutra. This is the second discourse that the Buddha gave to them. This discourse deal with the characteristics of non-self that we talked about that if we look at our body, our mind, or the external phenomena, there's no real self at all. That we have discussed before. Again, our body was composed by, in general, the four elements: the earth, the air, the fire, and the wind. The earth includes our bones, our flesh. The air, that means our breath. We breathe in the oxygen, we breathe out carbon dioxide. We have that exchange of air. That belongs to the wind. And the water includes our blood, marrow, fluid inside our body. And the fire, that means the warmth, ness in our body. If we don't have the kind of wellness, we would not survive up to now. And the mind, we have all kind of thinking. One moment we have a good thinking, a good thought. Another moment we have the bad thought, the unwholesome thought, and so forth. So there's no real thoughts at all in our mind. For our body, again, sooner or later, we have to go, whether we live up to 80, 90, or 100, or 110, even 112, we have to go. So there's no real self physically and mentally. So in external phenomena, there's no real self at all. When we talk about the trees, the house, and so forth, they come and go. So that's why this teaching called the non-self teaching, so that we would not attach ourselves too much. Of course, some of us may ask, if the Buddha talk about non-self, so which is the real self? Definitely later on, the Buddha talk about the pure nature, of Buddha natures, that exist in every sentient beings, including humans, animals, visible and invisible beings. That's pure natures, carry all of the virtues that we have, like loving kindness, compassion, patience, and so forth. So with that kind of understanding, we could review or get back to our pure nature sooner or later through meditation, through concentration, and through insight contemplation. We will discuss later on. And here, the Buddha, in this second discourse, second sutta, he said that there is each impermanence subject to suffering, the form, the cell, the feeling, perception, and also the consciousness. So there was no cell at all. If we attach to them, that's why we have the suffering. For example, if somehow we use our own cell phone, but let's say accidentally we drop it into the water, and of course, at first we may be angry, we may be frustrated because of the information or the friends or relatives phone number, they say that cell phone have gone. So we may be frustrated, we may be angry because of that loss. But if we understand that nothing lasts forever, we can use this cell phone temporarily So with that kind of understanding, then it's much easier for us to let go of things. And even when it's time for us to go, or our loved one that they have passed away, of course, to be hurt, broken, to farewell them. But we understand that no one can live forever. So with that type of understanding, it's much lighter for us to handle these loss of our loved one. So that's the idea of this second sutra, non-self sutra. So again, following the Buddha teachings, the 5 monks attain the arahantship. That means they become holy monks. And this beginning of the triple jewels, the triple gems, and the Buddha, the enlightenment one, the Dharma, that's in his teaching, and the Sangha, that's been a communities of Buddhist monks. At first, later on, we have the acceptance of the Buddhist monk. So just 5 days after that, they all attend the arahantship at that place, the deep park. And later on the way that the Buddha went out to teach, he met a son of a millionaire in Varanasi. This man, he got tired of his lustful way of living, so he left his home and happened to see the Buddha on the way. So after listening to the Buddha teachings, also learn the benefit of practicing the Dharma, that's been Buddha teaching. So he became very happy and excited. So he went home to ask permission to leave home in order to become a monk. So in other instance, it say that the Buddha met this young monk, met with young man on the road, and he gave the teaching to this young man, but somehow his dad, this young man's fathers went around to look for him. And so these fathers somehow met the Buddha, but before that, the Buddha used his psychic power to make Yasa, the young man, to disappear from the sight of the fathers. So when the father came to see the Buddha, he asked where about his son. But the Buddha said, just sit down and listen to my teaching. And after listening to Buddha teachings, these fathers gained the faith in the Buddha. And at the moment, the Buddha used his sacred power to let the reappearance of that young man again. So both of them so happy to see each other again. So both of them invited the Buddha to visit their house to receive the offerings. So the next day, the Buddha went there. So the fathers and the son, as well as the family members, offered the food to the Buddhas. And later on, this young man requests the Buddha to ordain him to become the monk in the Buddhist communities. So since time is up, I'd like to stop here today. So next week, we will discuss further about the love to Buddha, what happened when he accept people into monolith communities. Namo Shakyamuni Buddha.